turning away from it slightly. So I think she was just trying to keep her lane, for want of a better word. It was a little bit awkward, but I was with the women in Paris last year and they got to know each other very well, and there was a genuinely warm relationship there. And I think at the end of the day, it's almost a bit unseemly to kind of go on about it, because they were there actually respecting, you know, the thousands of men who laid down their lives for their respective countries.
The surprise return of Catherine to the stage for Trooping the Colour gave the royals and the nation a boost. Here, our panel discussed that and a beautiful new portrait of the princess. Rebecca starts this off by explaining what she was told by palace staff.
They were stressing, look, this is not a return to work, and that was something they were very, very keen to stress. It's not a full-time return to work, but it is a signal she now feels slightly well enough to maybe dip her toes in a little bit over the coming months.
You called it.
Oh, thank you. Well, it's my job, isn't it?
Scoop English over here. Natasha, you were there. Tell us, what was the atmosphere like, and what do you think having Catherine there meant to the crowd? Do you think it made a palpable difference?
Yeah, I mean, there had been biblical rain just before they came out on the balcony, so the fact that so many people were still there and so excited because they knew that the Princess of Wales was going to be there and come out with all 3 kids. I mean, people were still so excited, and the group that I was with, there were loads of scouts and kind of young children, and I mean, people were jumping up and down, you know, they were waving, and people were just ecstatic, and I was, you know, chilled to the bone from this rain, and yet the atmosphere was still, so celebratory.
Did you detect any kind of emotion on Catherine's face? Did she feel loved by the crowd?
Her smile is so wide that even from where I was standing, it just was glowing. Honestly, it's incredible. So yeah, she just looked delighted. They looked like a really happy family. It was genuinely just really nice to see.
Richard, it was reported, wasn't it, that Catherine's return to the public eye was such a significant moment that the palace was duty-bound to tell the Prime Minister and our opposition parties.
Yes, that really does make it sound serious, doesn't it? But there's a reason for that. We're in the middle of a general election campaign, and viewers might remember that the royal family have had to cancel various engagements because they can't do anything that might overshadow election coverage, or also that might look favourable to one party or another. So in this case, you can imagine that Catherine's reappearance for the first time in public since Christmas Day last year was a huge event that did dominate the newspapers. It was dominated the front page on Saturday as well as Sunday. So that did kind of blow away the political coverage. So I think the Prime Minister had to be warned about that, and he let the opposition party leaders know as well.
Fascinating.
But I think they took the view that, look, Trooping the Colour, is a celebration, it's part of our national life. So I think all the political leaders were happy for Trooping the Colour to go ahead, and the fact that Catherine was part of that delighted all of them. I think they shared in the public's joy to have her back with us.
Absolutely. Rebecca, she also released a statement. What can you tell us about that? What were the sort of key points that she wanted to make?
I thought there was a really kind of moving and kind of painfully honest statement. She made a point of saying the messages that she and William have received over recent weeks and months have meant an enormous lot to them, and that has helped them get through some really tough times as a family. She wanted people to know that she is making good progress, but she was also really candid and said, this has not been easy, and like anyone who's undergoing cancer treatment will know, is you have good days and you have bad days, and on the bad days you want to curl up in a ball and lie in bed, but on the good days you want to seize life and make the most of your time with your family and children. And she said she's having to learn to be patient as well, that there is a lot of uncertainty around this treatment, and she was having to learn to pace herself. And I think in that she was making the point again, saying, look, I am going to be at Trooping. I do hope to do a couple more events over the summer. But she was basically saying to the public, please bear with me.
Yeah, no promises. Richard, we also got a new portrait. What can you tell us about that?
Well, just like Rebecca says about the statement, that it was so honest, I felt also an incredibly moving portrait. It was a photograph taken by Matt Porteous, and he loves nature, and he took a wonderful portrait of Catherine with the 3 children in a tree last year.
Yes.
And again, a tree featured heavily in this portrait, which was a weeping willow. Catherine, of course, was a student of history of art, so she knows all about the symbolism of weeping willows. There's references to grief. the fact that the pose is her sort of looking upwards very wistfully. I think it was showing sort of what an important part that nature and being at Windsor's playing in her recovery, but also I think it shows that, yes, she's not out of the woods. There's a reference to the tree and the water, and she's going through a hard time. So it was laden with symbolism, I would say.
It was very reflective, I thought. You know, like she rightly say, looking wistfully up at the
Well, also
the sky.
remember, every photograph we ever see of Catherine, she's usually looking direct at the camera, often, you know, with a beautiful smile.
Yeah, true.
And in this case, she wasn't, and it's very moving. I would say it's probably the most symbolic picture we've ever had of Catherine.
The royal family suffered another health crisis as the usually indomitable Princess Anne suffered a serious injury involving a horse. Rebecca English tells us how she found out.
Well, I'm not going to lie. I got a message on Monday just to say, heads up, there's going to be a statement about the Princess Royal coming out imminently. Nothing else. And my stomach did a flip-flop, I'm not going to lie, especially after this last year, because there are only two other times I've had a similar heads up this year. It was, I couldn't think what on earth it would be. So we were pretty shocked to find out that she had been involved in an incident at her Gatcombe Park estate on Sunday night. She was out walking about 9:15, lovely summer's evening in the UK. And it looks like she was either struck by the head or the legs of a horse. And I say looks like, we don't know, because she suffered terrible concussion and minor head injuries and can't actually remember what led up to the incident. But what we do know is that she did receive emergency treatment on the estate on the night, and it was deemed necessary to rush her to hospital by ambulance to Bristol, which is about 45 minutes drive away from her, but it is a major trauma response centre and does have neuro specialists there, and she remains there as you know, today is when we're filming the programme.
I feel slightly like it's my fault. I do remember last week saying what person or beast would mess with Princess Anne, and here we are. I mean, horses are scary. They really are. Richard, it's been pointed out, though, that this isn't Anne's first visit to hospital, and she's not massively known as a very patient patient.
No, I mean, she was involved in a very serious accident involving a horse before, where she came off her horse while riding, and the horse fell on top of her. She had a sort of hairline fracture of a vertebrae, I think, and again she was concussed. But in a sign of how strong she is, this was the year, I think, 1976, when she then went on to compete at the Montreal Olympics in Canada. But obviously that's a long, long time ago, and concussion, as you get older, she's in her 70s now, of course, it's being taken very seriously, so it is worrying. But yes, there have been reports about when she's been in hospital before, and she has, you know, not wanted any nonsense. She's just, you know, let's get on with it type of thing. But we've seen her husband, Tim Lawrence, visiting her twice, Zara visiting. So we know it's serious.
Oh God, I hope she's all right though.
I mean, on a more kind of slightly light-hearted note, what I did love is when Tim Lawrence visited her on the first occasion, he was carrying this kind of blue plastic cool box, the kind of thing that we've all got shoved away at the back of one of our cupboards somewhere. And when he was asked, he said, "Oh, it's just a few treats from home." And I just love the fact that Princess Anne is having a lunch basically bought in a normal cool box to the hospital, like any of us would.
Well, come on, yeah, hospital food can be quite boring.
Yeah, what do you think's in there? Nice Kit Kat crunchy? What? Yeah.
And of course, it's worth pointing out she's in an NHS hospital, which is effectively a state hospital here. So it's not a kind of big, fancy private facility. There's no major security there. She really is there as pretty much as another patient. So,
in a tough year, there was some time for fun for the royals. One such occasion was when Prince William took Prince George and Princess Charlotte to see and meet Taylor Swift.
Am I the only person who didn't go to this concert?
I think you might have been, yes.
So I had an inkling again on Friday night he was going, and I messaged someone and said, "Is William at the Taylor Swift concert?" And I got a message back going, "Well, we wouldn't guide on his private time." And I was thinking, he's there. Here it comes. He's definitely there with the kids. And we didn't have confirmation until officially till the next morning, when the royal correspondence received a message saying, "You might want to keep an eye out on social media. There will be a picture." And lo and behold, there was a brilliant selfie of William with George, Charlotte and Taylor Swift. and her beau, Travis Kelce,
Yes.
if I pronounced that right,
Yes.
which you explained to me was a very, very big deal.
Well, I think it was quite a big step for her to put him in such a photo that was definitely going to go global. Now.